Hello, people. How's it going? I don't think it's actually History Channel. I know that a few other channels I listen to, watch, do weekly reading reports, and they always seem to be having a good time. So that's why I keep doing it. I like reading. I love books. I didn't read a whole lot this week. I just haven't had a chance to, which is normal sometimes. But I'm plodding through this one. No, it's really better, really. Howling Trophy. Despite their lack of jungle training, the 32nd Division Ghost Boys were assigned to the most grueling mission of the entire Pacific campaign in World War II, to march over 10,000-foot Owen Stanley Mountains to protect the right flank of the Australian Army during the Battle of New Guinea. Reminiscent of the classic Band of Brothers and things they carried, the Ghost Mountain Boys is part war diary, part extreme adventure tale, and through letters, journals, and interviews, this is part biography of a group of men who hope to survive in an environment every bit as fierce as human they face. I'm finding this book very good. We're about to have the Battle of Luna at the moment. This book is very good. It is amazing me what these guys went through to fight this battle. I mean, the terrain alone was killing them, making their lives miserable, let alone what the Japanese were doing. And the Japanese were not doing much better, by the way. The Japanese were having their own difficulties with the weather, the terrain, and the environment, and the enemy itself. But this is a good book. I like this book. I would highly recommend this book. I'm almost done. I'm about three-fourths. About three-fourths through it. Maybe about 50 pages left. But this book is good. This is a very good book. The New Guinea campaign and MacArthur really had no clue what these poor guys were going through, and he didn't care. Dougie MacArthur just did not really care. He was so obsessed with returning to the Philippines. The screen is nice and clear, though. Gotta get that. The graininess is not there as much. There's a lot better than the other one, but whatever. But you gotta think Martian terrifying battle for New Guinea. They have a map in there. I don't know if I showed you very well. But I like this one. When I had a history group channel, a history group meetings at Barnes and Noble in Roseville, this is one of the books we did. I don't know if you can. New Guinea, of course, is that thing in the middle, and I can't seem to show you a little closer. So New Guinea is right smack dab in the middle of New Guinea. I mean, it was a bloody battle. It was a long, drawn out, messy affair. Ducky Boy did not help. Ducky Boy was too busy with his own ego. Another book I'm reading on the Japanese. This is on the Japanese side. I like reading memoirs of the enemy side, Japanese side, the German side, whatever side. I do like reading their take on the war that they fought in. I like this book with a few caveats. He's trying very hard to not be too condemning of the Japanese military. He's trying very hard at one point to whitewash what happened at Nanking. I mean, it's a good book. It is a good memoir. It's interesting. I mean, I think part of the problem is you get the sense that he's trying very hard not to be too critical. While he's being critical, he's not being too critical. But Japanese have a very different mindset than the Germans had. They had a very different mindset. Don't get me wrong, it's worth reading. It's worth reading very much. Just remember that Japanese, even today, really don't take too much responsibility for a lot of the atrocities they committed and a lot of the things they did. Not all the Japanese were like that. I grant you that. I know that. But one does get the impression that you're sort of getting a kind of a whitewash, maybe just a little bit, not a whole lot. He's critical where it should be, but I don't think he's critical enough in certain areas. But it's a good book. I don't 100%. It's one of those memoirs you read with a grain of salt. You realize that they don't. I like being critical because these people are no longer here. I like Japan. Japan is one of my favorite countries. It always has been. I lived there for 2 years. But you can tell that this fellow is trying very hard not to be too critical. And not to be, point out the fact that the rape of Nanking did actually happen, and it was not over exaggerated. And believe me, people who read this book, you're going to realize that as much as it's interesting, and it is, it's interesting, the mindset. You do learn his mindset, you do learn the Japanese mindset. But you do get the idea he's being a little careful. Anyway, overall, it's fine. Overall, it's not the worst book I've ever read on the subject. I'm reading my novel of the book number 2 of the Asher Levy series. Excuse me. Luther and Milk are not mixed. I like this series. I like Kyle Potak's books. I like The Chosen he wrote. I like his history of Israel, Jews he wrote. I like his Asher Lev series of books. I've read most of his books. I mean, I like the character Asher Lev, a tormented artist who really is trying to figure out what's going wrong with his art. He is it's coming to the close of the book. I'm almost done. It's written very well. The characters are written very well. You get a very, very good idea of what it's like living in that very orthodox Jewish world, where the Rebbe basically is God on earth. 20 years have passed since Asher Lev is a world-renowned artist living with his young family in France. Still, he is unsure of his artistic direction. Success has not brought ease to his heart. Then Asher's beloved uncle died suddenly, and Asher and his family rushed back to Brooklyn. Rather reluctantly, I might add. Well, him anyway. And into the world that Asher thought he had left behind forever. It's a journey of confrontation, and there are a lot of confrontations. It is written well. It's a very good book. And discovers Asher purges his past in a search for new inspiration for his art, and begins to understand the true meaning of sacrifice and the painful joy in sharing the most precious gift of all. And it's not his art, by the way, which I don't think it is. That's the impression I get from the book. But I like this book. I like this book. I discovered him in the 80s. I learned a lot about Hasidic Jewishness. I learned a lot about the Orthodox. I learned a lot of history. I learned what it was like to live in that world. It's an interesting world to live in. I wish I had. I'm sorry. I know that sounds crazy, but I wish I had lived there, or at least been part of it somehow. Makes me miss the history, the Jewish history that I never got to have. I didn't. If anybody's online, can ask me a question or anything you want. I always look forward to questions. Let's see what else. I really didn't read a whole lot, unfortunately. I wish I had. I just didn't have that much time. Been busy. But that was this week's reading report. Not a whole lot read. Not very exciting. But then again, it's exciting to me. I like books. I like history. I don't read a lot of novels. That's one of the few novels I will actually read. I like short stories more than I like novels. Anyway, I am planning on rereading this again. I like this book. I'm not Catholic, but this book has got its Catholic overtones. But I like the story. I like the characters. I like the character development, the arc, spiritual awakening, the early church described. I mean, you have Stephen in here. You get the very brief moment of who will one day be the Apostle Paul, Saul showing up. But this is a good book. This is the man who rolled for the Christ, who won the Christ robe. The movie isn't too bad, but the book is far better. I just started that again. I don't think I read much. I don't count the books that I use to do research on when I'm doing my other projects. So I don't count those books as weekly reading report books. But anyway, I am going to try to do one more video. I always try to do at least 3, certainly on Sunday. But I'm going to try to do at least one more. The picture looks a lot better. All this week I've been having picture problems. This one looks a lot better than the other one did. But anyway, like, share, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Behave yourselves, people, because you know I'm not going to. See you later.